Welcome back everyone to another Photoshop tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about high dynamic range, HDR images. I'm going to walk you through the process of how to go from 3 images like this and merge them together into a high dynamic range that has all the tonal values of each of these images mixed together into one. And the reason you're going to need a high dynamic range image is because your camera cannot see the range of value from dark to light that your eye can. It just can't. I mean, you go out there, you see an image, you take it, you bring it back, and you're like, why can't I see the detail in the clouds like I could when I was out there? And it's because cameras just don't have the amazing design that God's put into your eyes. So you have to take 3 and then use software to put them together. I'm so thankful that my mind doesn't have to do that, that God has created me in such a way that I can see the whole range of values. And there really is a lot more that your eye can't see. I mean, we don't have the best eyes of all the eyes out there, but it's still a lot better than a camera. But anyway, we'll go ahead and head into how to do this. We're in this folder of images that I took when I was out in West Virginia with my family. Got lots and lots of good pictures and a lot of high dynamic range images I found when I was out there that I just couldn't grab all the values that I wanted to, as far as tonal values in the clouds and the water and the trees and stuff. So I had to shoot a lot of HDR, which isn't a problem. It just takes a lot of time to work through them all, which, hey, I enjoy that, so no problems there. But anyway, we have these 3 images here like I just showed you. We'll go ahead and group them together, and the way you'll do that is by holding shift down and clicking these 3 images. Then we'll hit Command G, which will group those images together. I'm working in Adobe CS5. And then we'll go ahead and give those a star value, Command 2. That just means, for me, that's just my shorthand way of saying, okay, this is an HDR. You can see a lot of HDRs. And Command 1, star value of 1 would be a panorama. So these are grouped together. And when you click on it, it selects them all. And we'll go ahead and put that into Merge to HDR Pro. And I've already done that over here. And this is what it comes in looking like. It's like really super flat, and it looks awful. And then we've got all these tons of sliders over here that, like, how are we supposed to know what to do with them all? And a lot of it's just going to be trial and error. What do you like? What did your eye see? I mean, there's every single image is going to be different. You'll create these presets. You'll save presets that, will give you a good starting point. But we'll work from the ground up this time around. And from just looking at it, I can already see that exposure is just a little bit high. Put that down just a little bit. Gamma's up really high. And what a gamma is, that's a lot like a mid-tone value. These are I don't know why they label them different, but just to be confusing, I'm sure. Detail, that's just, you have to be really careful with this one because it can really quickly start to make your image look funky, which some people like that. I used to, but I'm trying to become a little bit more realistic. I do want a little detail in there, though, just to bring away from that flatness. Shadow, that's going to be this piece down here and this up here. So keep our eyes up there. Ooh, don't like that. Ooh, a little more of that. A little bit too much. There we go. Oh, wait, you know what? I was clicking on detail. Let's try that with shadow. Ooh. Right in there. That's pretty good. Highlight. That's going to be the sun here, all these white values. And I don't know what that is. I kind of like that, but I'm pretty sure it was from the sun. See, the sun was right up here, and then this reflection in the lake was coming from right down here. Which I kind of thought it was interesting to have a sun flare in the lake, and you couldn't actually see the real sun. And I like the way this lake is turning, but that's a little bit too much. Because you start to get these weird, nasty gradients and stuff if you go too far. So you just got to keep your eye out for that. It's really good to go to an extreme or another extreme to see which one's going to look better and, where the happy sweet spot is in the middle. A little bit more color with the vibrance. It's looking okay. I may desaturate that just a hair so we don't get quite so much right up in here. And that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and remove ghosts. What that is that if you've got, if the tree moved a little bit, what it's doing is it's putting all 3 images and layering them together. and letting certain pieces from each image shine through. But it's going to really see if your tree moved at all. It's going to see it. So we'll go ahead and remove that because you really can't see it here, and I'm not sure. It was an awfully calm morning, as you can see from the lake, but there may have been a little ghosting. Yeah, I really don't see any at all. But there may have been some here on this water, but I'm guessing it won't even see that because it's so much like a mist anyway. A ghosty mist. So probably won't move that at all. Yeah. But it's always a good idea to try and remove it. Yeah, so it took a little bit out. Not much. And it still looks fine. Not missing anything. It is good to switch back and forth because sometimes this remove ghost can remove a picture element that you really needed. But I'm not seeing any dramatic change. Of course, it hasn't actually. There it goes. Yeah, I'm not seeing any dramatic change, so I'll go ahead and keep that on. Keep that on if you can. That's my 2 cents of information. Okay, and then I would save this once it finishes that ghost remove. I would go ahead and save this as a preset, which I've already done in my Pine Flare preset. It's a fabulous name, I must admit. Be descriptive if you can. A lot of times, here's another one, Swamp Marsh. It's not exactly a swamp or a marsh, but that's what I titled it because that's what came to mind. And then I'll save a date just so I know when I did it. That's what I liked back in those days, which wasn't that long ago, actually. We'll go ahead and click on this. I'm just curious to see what differences I had as far as presets. Yeah, I completely did it different, but, you know, do it however you like. And then we'll open this. And that'll put this image that we just finished into Photoshop. And then we'll be able to do level adjustments and bring out some other pieces that I liked from another image. Because when you get one like this, what it's going to do, it's going to make it really flat. I mean, it's taking all your shadow values, your highlight values, your midtones, and kind of flattening them out, making the image just, it has high dynamic range, but it's not very dynamic or doesn't have much punch to it, which means that's why it opens it up into Photoshop and you can't actually save it straight to Bridge. But we'll go back to Bridge, and then what we'll do is we'll pick the image that I like the best, that the sun flare is the most dramatic, that if I had to pick one and I didn't have HDR, which one would I pick? I'd probably pick this one, which is usually going to be the one that had the exposure compensation down at 0 so that it was as flat as it could be. And then I would open this up. Once this one finishes down here, I'll open this up into Photoshop and set them side by side so I can compare and say I like this element here a little better, or I like the sun flare a little better, or the shadow down here is a little better. And then I'll try and make the other image look that way while still having the high dynamic range capabilities. So once that's done, okay, it is done. We'll drag this over by selecting it and dragging it over to here, and we'll drop it. I'm pretty sure it'll open up in this raw converter, but this other image not making it on an image of its own, and it should open it as a smart object, which will allow you to do resizing and edits without actually doing any destructive things to it, so you can always bring it back to what it was. We'll enter, because what it's doing is it says, do you really want it this big? Yes, I do. So just put it right on top. So we can see that's the HDR. This is what we had before, and it's just, this image just got a lot of draw to it, but it's just lost so much right down here in the lake. As you can see, we've got that back here. I like the ground here a lot better on that one. The tree looks a little nicer. This piece looks nice too. So what we'll do, and I actually really like the sun flare on this one better. This one just looks boring, but we'll have little tricks for that. So what we'll do is we'll select this layer, and we'll get a levels adjustment, and I'm going to just do a darkening on this. And for whatever reason, I'm not seeing any change. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's too much. Now what I'm really looking for is this piece right here, this right here, all my shadow detail that I really want to bring out. Before and after. It's very, very little. I think we'll put a little bit more punch there. Select all, hit X to get our foreground as white, and our background is black. Delete. Get a brush with high feathering. Command D to deselect. And then we'll shift click. After we click here, we'll shift click, or hold shift and click, so we draw a straight line over here. And do the same thing, shift click down here, just to draw ourselves a nice line. Try and hold some value there. But I drew into this tree, which I did not want to do, so I'll hit X again to get it to black, so we're covering that piece. Try and get a little darkening right there. A little darkening right there. And then you see this shadow right behind the tree. I really want to bring that out. I want to say, look at this shadow, people. I'm going to select back to black, so I'm hiding it, and then I'm going to decrease the feathering, getting a little bit harder, just to make sure I'm only getting that, just to make this shadow very dramatic, very, oh, that's a shadow there. At least that's how I'm hoping people will see that. I think I'm going to brighten that little piece instead of darken it. Excuse me. Okay, so this is our darken level adjustment. Let's get a lighten level adjustment as well. Make sure that's below this piece here. And to do that, I'm still going to add a little bit of blackness to it on the shadow detail, but then I'm going to put this one up because I really like the way that tree looked in that other image, and that's too much. That's looking better. Before, after, that actually looks good for just about everything. I think I may just keep that on there. Maybe do a little bit less. Yeah, I think I'll keep that for everything. And then we'll do a before and after just to see what I'm liking. I think this image is looking a lot better now. That shadow is really standing out. I think it's standing out just a little bit too much. So instead of having a solid white, I'll do a gray. And do some more of those shift clicks. And then increase the hardening just to make sure I still have a nice dramatic line there. And that's probably just a little bit too dramatic. So I'll soften it up just ever so slightly, and that looks better. What we don't want is for this line to be going outside of the tree, and I think it is. So I'll actually click up on the tree and then click down there just above the horizon of the, if that could be called a horizon. Probably can't, but hey, the sun is there. So that's looking much better, but still, that flare. What can we do about that? I want to bring this flare piece in, which I'm going to do by creating a mask, selecting all, hitting D, which will put it back to default on the colors. Delete, deselect, Command D to deselect, get this brush a little bigger, and then I'm just going to paint this little flare right back in. And that looks awful now, but that's okay because I'm probably going to put an overlay on it, or a soft light or something. I'll just have to fiddle to find one that I like. I like that one pretty well. Not that one. I think the overlay does just looks so stunning, but it's got all this darkness down here. We can get rid of some of that because I still have that sun flare underneath. Yeah, that's much better. And now if we take that piece away and we add it, you can see that it didn't do much, but we still brought in that nice sun flare. Got some nasty stuff still down here. There we go. And we'll set that to maybe a soft light. Yeah. So before and after the sun flare. Wow, that really didn't do much. But I do like that better. think I'll do one more level adjustment, oops, just to get that ground brightened up. Just ever so slightly. Deselect brush. Just to really make that shadow stand out, because that's what stood out to me originally anyways. Get a little bit of that detail in there too. Maybe brighten up this little booger too, just because I can. Make sure I don't put any out here. And that looks pretty good. Here's before. What we'll do is we'll hit Option and click this background layer, and that will hide. Click the little eyeball, and that'll show you all the way it looked before I added any adjustments. And this is after, and you can see that does look more dramatic, a lot closer to what we had here with that off. Yeah, I still have some work to do on that sun flare. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure the best way to do that though. Maybe I think it needs to be something like a screen or light. Yeah, we'll put it as light. And here we go. At this point, I'll go ahead and save what I've done, so it'll put it back into a bridge somewhere, a folder that I have on my computer's hard drive. And I have no idea what I'd call that. Probably something like Pine Flare. And that would be the end of that, except make sure you put your name in there somewhere.